Next three verses of Surah Hujarat, verses 11, 12 and 13, lay out for us the prohibitions in the field of akhlaq. So akhlaq is not just about doing certain things, it's also about avoiding certain things. And this is the area where many of us fall short. We focus on what to do. We so often forget what to avoid. And so in these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lists out for us 6 things you must stay away from if you want to have good akhlaq. And so it begins with يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكون خيرا منهن. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says no group of people should mock or look down upon or ridicule another group of people because they might be better than you. And no group of women should mock or ridicule or look down upon another group of women because they might be better than you. So this verse prohibits mocking and looking down upon people, right? And someone may ask, why does it single out women? It singles out women because of the context of the reason for revelation. That this verse was revealed on an occasion where some of the women in Medina were mocking another woman for being from a Jewish tribe. And they were mocking another woman for being too short. So in the context of that going on in the community, Allah singled them out in the verse. And He said, nobody should do this. Right? And then He mentioned women specifically because in that time and that place, it was that group of women who were doing that. Right? But the rule applies to everyone. You cannot pick on someone for their height. You cannot pick on someone for how they look. You cannot pick on someone for the family they came from or the economic background or anything like that. Mocking people in Islam is completely prohibited. This is something that's a very important part of akhlaq. We are not supposed to mock people. And in this day and age, mocking people has become normalized. Especially on the internet, with meme culture, with TikTok videos, people are mocking everyone else. They mock their own parents, they mock, public figures, they mock someone who may have been caught on camera making a weird face, and everyone's mocking that person. No one in the world's thinking about that person's feelings. Be careful we don't fall into this trap. Part of the refined character of the believer, we do not mock people. We do not pick on how people look or how tall or short they are or anything like that. Linked to not mocking people, the next part of the verse, the next prohibition, وَلَا تَنَابَذُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Do not call each other by offensive nicknames. Right? Do not call each other by offensive nicknames. Now this verse, many people misunderstand it. Many people think this verse means do not call people by any nicknames. Right? No, it's talking about offensive nicknames. Meaning, if you have a nickname for your friend or your family member that they like, absolutely fine to call them by it. Nothing wrong whatsoever. Right? But if you use a nickname for someone that they find hurtful, where you have a friend and everyone calls him fatty, and he doesn't like being called fat, right? Or everyone calls him shorty, he doesn't like being called short. Right? This becomes a sin. It is sinful to use hurtful names for people. It is sinful to use names for people that they find hurtful. So be very careful. Sometimes we don't think about this. That everyone gets used to calling someone by a specific name, and we don't ever think are they okay with it? But the Quran is calling on us to ask them, are you okay with this? And then to refine our speech and not calling them by such names. The next verse highlights 3 prohibitions. And what's interesting about these 3 prohibitions is, if you apply the first one, automatically you apply the second and third one. Because one of these sins leads to the next. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rules down 3 prohibitions here, all of which are sins that lead to other sins. And He tells us, Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu, O those who believe, ijtanibu kathiran min adh-dhann inna ba'da adh-dhann itham. Beware of suspicion, because very often your suspicion is a sin. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not spy, do not invade people's privacy. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. And do not backbite each other. أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَن يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ. Does any of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? No, you dislike it. This is the metaphor for backbiting, eating the flesh of your dead brother. 3 prohibitions. Number 1, do not have unwarranted suspicion of people. Do not be the kind of person who whenever you meet someone, you assume the worst of them. Right? This verse is prohibiting su'uz dhan and encouraging husnuz dhan. When you meet people, do not assume the worst of them, assume the best of them. Do not go around thinking, I think this person has a secret. I think this person has a secret sin. I think that person's a munafiq. I think this person's a deviant. I think that person's a kafir. Right? Don't go around with these thoughts in your head. These thoughts will consume you. These thoughts will break up the Muslim brotherhood. These thoughts will cause problems in society, problems in families. And what do these thoughts lead to? If someone allows these thoughts to fester in their mind, they start looking for faults in the next person. And that's the next prohibition. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not spy into each other's private affairs. In Islam, Allah has given us the right of privacy. That whatever a person does in private is between them and Allah. No one has the right to go to somebody else's internet history, or somebody else's emails, or somebody else's phone, or to peep into somebody else's home. What is private is private. And to look for faults for other people in this way is a sin. To look into somebody else's home or somebody else's phone or computer so you can find some sin or some fault or some hidden secret of theirs is a sin in of itself. This is the sin prohibited here. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not spy on each other. Mind your own business. Mind your own business. Another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that none of you truly believe until he gives up that which does not concern him. Stay away from things that are not your business. And in the final prohibition, once somebody is, thinking bad about someone else, and then he spies on that person and he finds a secret, and you're always going to find a secret, right? Because everybody has secrets. No one is a perfect masoom angel. We all have secrets. So if you're spying on people, you're going to find their secrets. What do people do after they find the secrets? They start backbiting. Did you know this person does that? Do you know this person has this sin? Do you know this person has this secret? Do you know this happened in his past? So Allah prohibits that as well. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْدُكُمْ بَعْدًا. Don't backbite each other. 3 prohibitions all linked to each other. Don't think bad about others without any just cause. Do not spy on others. Do not backbite others. If we just apply these 3 prohibitions, our lives will be so much easier. Our community will be so much more united. Our families will be so much more united by just applying this one verse. And then finally, the last prohibition, in the most famous verse in the surah, verse number 13, the one you all know. Ya ayyuhan nas inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum inna allaha alimun khabir. O mankind, we created you from a male and a female and divided you into tribes and nations so that you can get to know each other. And the most honorable you in the sight of God is the most pious. And Allah is all knowing, all aware. This verse prohibits looking down on other people for things they have no control over. Whether it is race, whether it is tribe, whether it is gender, you don't have the right to judge somebody by something of this nature. Right? That is the only thing that makes a believer superior to another believer is their piety. And piety is in the heart. And only Allah knows who has real taqwa. So we are not supposed to be judging people. So this culture that people have of making broad judgmental remarks about entire races or entire tribes or entire countries or entire genders, this is something that is prohibited in our religion. The only criterion for success is your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So each person should focus on their own relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that, we come to the conclusion of our discussion for today. Take time. Take time to study the surah. Surah al-Hujarat, many of the early scholars actually call it Surah al-Akhlaq, the surah of good character.